Hello everyone, and a good day to you. My name is Lorthorn, and welcome to a mod showcase for the Wizard Staff mod. This is a pretty nifty mod. It adds an item game called the Wizard Staff. This staff is crafted with 2 sticks and 4 cobblestone. When it is in your inventory, it appears simple at first. However, you cannot left click with it. And if you shift right click with it, this whole little wizard staff inventory appears. Inside, you have 3 empty item slots and a toggle spellbook. Clicking on the toggle spellbook shows you how the wizard staff works. But before we get into that, let me tell you how the wizard staff works. The wizard staff is an item in which you take and you put things into the slot on the wizard staff. This brings it up as an active item in the wizard staff. Then when you left click, you cycle through them. If there is no left click items within, then it doesn't cycle. And when you right click with the staff, it activates that item's ability for the staff. However, each time you use the staff, it uses a little bit of your XP to power it. So the higher level you are, basically the more mana you have. And casting spells uses up your mana, which is your XP. So it gives XP a different resource than being just your normal old enchanty wandy stuff. But it basically lets you cast spells and things on the go. And there are many different things for you to cast magically with the staff. And we're going to go through them all. Each one has its own explanation within, as well as how much XP it costs to cast. You can have up to 3 things in your staff at once. And to start off with, let's talk about fashion. If you have leather armor, you can put it into the wizard staff and turn the leather armor into wizard outfits. The staff holds on to them until you take them out again, which is, I think, a cool feature, and each bit of gear looks splendid. My favorite parts of it are the shoes and the hat. Now the robes, alright. The legs, well, they look good, don't they? Look at that. They sort of swish while you move. But then the shoes, oh, look at those shoes, nice and pointy, like any wizard should wear. And of course the hat, your classic wizard hat. However, it bends forwards instead of backwards, and it's all nice and purple. Now, of course, you've already seen the crafting table, but there are a few other spells and incantational items here for us to peruse, each one with its own uses and applications to the game. The stone button is a bit of an odd one. It lets you press buttons from slightly further away than you normally would be able to. It's about 4 blocks further, I think, than being right next to it. Not the most impressive spell, but it's very cheap. Next, we have always a favorite amongst people, a grappling hook. Fishing rod will fire out a grappling hook, and it yoinks you up the block. Now there actually has to be a block for it to grapple onto, and the height is slightly higher than what we have here. But it can get you up pretty good and transport you around. And if there's no blocks, then it doesn't launch the grapple hook. Now, the sponge lets you take away all the water in the land, kind of like a sponge does. If you happen to be on fire, the ghast here puts it out by making you cry. The bookshelf creates books. The cooked steak switches your HP and hunger for each other. And the light grey dye infests blocks with silverfish that are aggressive towards you. Putting the smithing table in your inventory casts a spell which repairs the gear you have in your offhand. The clock makes time move to your will. Seeds in the staff send out a babyfication ray, which turns animals back into their baby form. An empty map generates a treasure map, a location for you to go find the goods in the world. And a block of obsidian creates a one-way temporary portal to the Nether, which is entered by right-clicking on the portal. If you put a wizard staff into a wizard staff, it explodes, destroying the wizard staff in the process. The lodestone lets you set a lodestone waypoint, So if you have a lodestone on the ground and the lodestone within your wizard staff, you right click on the lodestone, it gongs at you. Then when you use the lodestone, it teleports you back to the location of the lodestone and destroys it. Mushroom sends out a mushroomification beam, which turns normal cows into mushrooms. And the Elytra is by far the best spell in the game, because it lets you fly, like a helicopter, with your staff. You fly in the direction that the staff is pointing, which is the direction your crosshair is pointing, and you basically become helicopter now. Speaking of wearing clothing, the wizard's hat, skirt, and slippers, and robes also give you cheaper spells, which I should have mentioned, but I really only cared about what they did to your appearance. TNT is one you probably eagerly await. It basically lets you get away with cheaper TNT if you don't want to bother gathering all that gunpowder. Instead, you can spend your experience to drop a row of 3 TNT to blow up the landscape. The Poppet of Death Protection lets you summon to your aid friendly vexes. Honey forces bees out of their hive. A water bucket in the wizard staff is basically an unlimited bucket of water, costing XP instead of liquid. Golden armor within the staff turns into the druid's gear.
Its stats are the same as the wizard's clothing, but it doesn't look nearly as good.
Iron gear inside the staff turns into the warlock robes, which are the evil robes with the chainmail skirt. The wither skeleton skull launches the wither projectile, which causes damage, withering, and destroys terrain. And the feather gives you featherfall. The shield in your wizard staffs turns you into a ninja, as you block all incoming projectiles and attacks. Now the carved jack-o'-lantern sends out an evil face, which deals damage, slows, and looks freaky, and continually travels, causing harm to your enemies, although it does have a long charging period, and is slow to hit. Whereas the mycelia block summons a poisonous cloud, which, if it happens to kill the target, turns them into mushrooms. Shears let you cut down many leaves all at once. The netherract block gives you lava walking, turning lava into netherract. The diamond axe cuts down trees, taking out 40 blocks at once. The portable ender chest is summoned by using the ender chest, letting you store your gear. And a bit of string turns you into Spider-Man, giving you spider climb. Chorus fruit reverts you back to your old position from 5 seconds ago, meaning that you have a soft reset on traveling.
The name tag writes a random name onto the name tag for you.
The stone furnace will cook nearby meat that is on the ground, and the stone bricks will generate a stone barrier around you. Cobblestone generates your very own wizard tower to live in. After a long charge up, bam, there you go. A lovely little hut with a bed and a chest and purple stained glass. Glowstone lets you use radar, or rather, it illuminates animals around you so they are highlighted with a highlighty glow in the dark. An anvil doesn't drop anvils. It just happens to repair the armor you're wearing slowly. And mossy cobblestone pushes spawners around if there is available space for them to get pushed by. Note that even grass can stop from getting pushed directly away. Wooden pickaxe gives you haste 2. Block of dirt lets you build a nerd pole unlimitedly, well, depending on XP. And blue dye lets you control the weather. The emerald lets you inverse a villager's trade. So, well, this farmer wants to give us carrots for emerald and emerald for bread. We can instead apply magic on him and inverse the trade. So now he'll give us emerald for carrot and bread for emerald. A cobweb in your staff, if there's an available block for the creature to have the cobweb laid on while targeting and it's not in the air will shoot a beam which will produce a single cobweb on said creature. A gold nugget in your staff forces a piglin to trade with you and give you one of their various different items that they have available for trade. Soul sand makes a creepy noise and causes skeletal hands to rise from the ground. These hands do nothing to you, but they hurt and frighten or debuff in some way other creatures that go across them. A piece of lapis lazuli causes mouths to bite up around you, giving you an AoE space clearer. Another brick teleports you towards the nearest nether fortress, or points you in the direction of the nearest nether fortress, I think is to be more accurate. Yes, it doesn't teleport you, it just faces you in the direction of the nearest nether fortress. The armor stand shoots a teleportation ray, which is well limited in range, lets you switch places with the target you are teleporting to. The iron block makes an absolutely horrible sound, and very slowly draws items from not very far range towards you. The compass in the wizard staff points you in the direction of your own personal spawn, so your bed, helping you triangulate the way home, making it slightly more useful than the base compass of pointing you towards 000. The shulker block fires, you would not believe it, shulker bullets at the nearest by entities, but at a very limited range. And once they get out of the range, it no longer scans for the entities and can't hit them. The chest is a portable chest, much like the Ender chest, however not hooked up to other chests in the world, only accessible through the chest spell. The Book and Twill gives you knowledge about the world, and basically writes some random fact in the book. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in the rain. So it actually says it writes useful knowledge, but it's just random gibberish. The bottle gets turned into an experience bottle, or bottle of enchanting. A piece of gold is rather a cool one. If you happen to have access to solid stone blocks, you can turn them into gold ore with a piece of gold in your inventory, thus acting like the ring of the dwarves in Lord of the Rings, as one bit of gold creates more gold, but you need gold to start with to make that gold. Blaze powder lets you light things on fire, and also causes a little bit of knockback with it. As we all know, zombies are allergic to glistening melons, and so with a horrible sound effect, the glistening melon repels zombies away from you. Putting a wizard's hat into the staff lets you throw it as a projectile. The egg is very cool, I like the egg, because it lets you shoot an eggification beam, which stores its victims into eggs of the spawning variety. So it lets you legitimately get spawn eggs in the game by shooting the spawn egg beam at the creature and shucking them up. And finally, the netherite ingot lets you turn your staff into, or rather lets you turn the staff in your inventory into the netherite staff, which as far as I can tell is no better than the normal staff, but it looks cooler. So, we'll go with that. That is all of the spells in Minecraft's Wizard Staff, which is a very cool mod. Add to your pack, and it gives you not an overpowered, but very fun in-game magical item. It feels very appropriate to Minecraft. None of them seem too out of place. A few of them are a bit odd, but they're all within the constraints of Minecraft and all use its mechanics and aren't extra additive, but rather enhancement of the already existing game, giving you a realistic way and feeling to get magic through using your XP rather than some weird mana system, which I think is very fun and very cool. And also utilizing the enemies, also utilizing the objects in the game as spellcasting components is another really cool and fun feature of the mod. So get yourself the Wizard Staff mod and collect the eggs up of your enemies if you don't want them in the real world, so you can contain them forever or dispose of them at your own discretion. And with that, I thank you very much for watching, and until next time, thank you and goodbye.